I thought I had to wrap my mind around the abuse itself. And even though, I know what I know about Janina Fisher's approach in the book and everything that talks about how the trauma event is not what needs healing, it makes sense to me as the adult going on with normal life self, brain. And so, even in trying to connect to parts, I thought the way to do that was to try and understand what, physically happened. But at the end of the day, it only matters to understand the experience and perspective of parts. That's it. And if the trauma or abuse could help provide reference for what the part may be experiencing because of past events, that's one thing. But exploring the event is not how we connect with parts. It's simply not. If anything, it pushes parts away because it's activating more protectors and reducing the ability to stay grounded in normal life self, reducing the ability to stay present, practicing dual awareness in the moment. It's increasing the dysregulation. It's increasing the disconnect of the frontal lobes. Is doing all of these things that make connecting with parts impossible. And so when we're trying to connect with parts, the trauma is really quite irrelevant. What was going on in the neurodevelopment of the brain and body at that point? What was going on in the other realms of things besides that one specific event? Those things matter equally because we're looking at how the part was developed, not the event. And so that's really, 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 really crucial. And only when we connect with parts can we even then process the trauma successfully, because up until that point, we're not in a cognitive place to process really bad, scary stuff from a long time ago. Cognitively, it's not possible. So we grow those abilities cognitively by connecting with parts. And through that process, we grow neural pathways that help us build the cognitive abilities to process trauma. And then when we process it, it's processed, it's done, it's final. It doesn't continue to manifest in repeated fragmentation and continued activation with the same intensity that it is at this point in the journey. Yeah, it's always going to be the scary part of the story. Actually, not even that. It doesn't always have to be a scary part of the story, because when we heal the wounds from it, it's just a part of the story, and we get to build better, newer parts of the story, and then it's just a piece of the story. And then that's where time does heal all wounds, is once we've healed the cognitive wounds, then we build a beautiful life, and through that time, the story attached to that wound is allowed to fade. And so, I know, we're pretty swollen. My face and neck look a little larger than typical. This is more typical before we started treatment. I thought I was just big-faced. But this happens when things are a bit swollen, a bit inflamed. We have to learn to laugh. So, when connecting with parts, the event is not how we connect, and the event is not how we heal parts. Once parts experience some joining and some healing and some increased communication, only then is there even cognitive potential to transform memories. And then, if there's a lot of coping resources in place, and if it's done in a professional manner, someone who understands trauma, and if it's, all these things, then you can process the traumatic events. But quite frankly, processing the traumatic events shouldn't be the focus, unless it's one trauma from adulthood that is what the recovery is for. If it's multiple traumas, and if any of those were before adulthood, then the trauma events are not what need processing. It's not how it works. It has much more to do with the subconscious processes than just one memory. And so as we connect with parts, and I guess that was all I was going to say. I guess that was the end. All right, I'm going to go spend more time with my parts. I've been staring at this dove on the roof. It's like straight up making eye contact with me this whole time. Butterflies. I'm grateful that I can process trauma in the spring where there is new life around. Transforming a lot of trauma right now. Not sharing it on camera though. This is just for us. Love you guys.